Hey, good day to you. Greetings. I'm Bernie Miklasz, and this is the Bernie Show presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I write 5 columns and do 5 videos each week here on STL Sports Central. You can catch me frequently on KMOX FM 104.1 or KMOX AM 1120. And I join Katie Wu at the Athletic, on her Cardinal Territory video and podcast 1 or 2 times a week. I think we're going to record one later today. I don't really talk about my hats all that much, but I haven't worn this one for a long time. The LL, that stands for Larapin Lou. Lou Gehrig, the immortal Lou Gehrig, after the 1927 season, the famous Yankees team, he formed a team with some of his teammates, with some other guys from other players around the major leagues, and they would barnstorm the United States. And their nickname or their team name was the Larapin Lou's. So this is that explains the LL. See, it's not about Cool J. It's about Gehrig. All right, today's topic, the mystery surrounding Cardinals closer Ryan Helsley. And you may say, what do you mean mystery? Okay, there's a lot of mysteries, actually. The way I see it, well, let's just break it down a little bit. Be happy to do it. And I got some numbers in here, but these numbers matter. So I respectfully ask that, you pay attention to them rather than just kind of blowing them off. And that you'll sort of get the bigger and better understanding, if I may say so. I say that humbly, but that's why I do these things. That's why I look up stats. If they matter, I like to offer them. First, well, let's go to the mysteries. First, I continue to wonder about Helsley's four-seam fastball this season. It has been a terrible pitch for him this year, and that was not the case in his career best season of 2024. His fastball has never been this hittable. Last season, for example, hitters had a 276 batting average and a 367 slugging percentage against Helsley's four-seamer. Now, listen, that's not exactly awesome. It's not dominant or anything like that, but it was good. Helsley's StatCast value on the rating on that four-seam last year was a +3, and that put him in the top 36% of all big league pitchers, whether they're starters or relievers. So keep that in mind. He was in the top 36% last year. This season, Helsley, so far, his four-seam fastball has been incinerated for a 440 batting average and 600 slugging percentage, and those numbers are even higher against right-handed hitters, and you wouldn't think that'd be the case because he's a right-handed pitcher, but it is. How bad is that 440 batting average on the four-seam fastball? Well, this is why I do the research. I can report to you that that 440 average on Helsley's four-seam fastball is the highest as in worst against any pitcher in the majors this season. And the 600 slugging percentage against Helsley's fastball is the 10th worst against a pitcher among those pitchers that have used it at least in 60% of the plate appearances so far. Not 60%. Let me correct myself. Pitchers who have used it in at least 60 plate appearances against hitters. So we're talking about a really bad pitch here. And like, I don't want to hear, well, he throws 99. Yeah, he throws 99, but it's not that easy. Major league hitters have adjusted to the high velo guys. And Helsley, frankly, is making it easier for him. And I'm going to explain this if you listen along. The StatCast value on Helsley's four-seam fastball in 2025 is a -6. That puts him in the bottom 13% of all pitchers in the majors. So last year, he was in the top 36% for the fastball. This year, the bottom 13%. And to put it another way, for 2025, Helsley's four-seam fastball ranks a poor 193rd in the majors this year. And last season, that pitch put him in the top 75. What are the reasons behind the decline of Helsley's fastball? Well, we mentioned it. It isn't the velocity, because even though it's down just a little tick, he's still averaging 99.1 miles per hour on that pitch. And that's just a very, very minor drop last year when it was more like 99.6 miles an hour, something like that. But the quality of the pitch is way off. And once I went and looked at some more numbers this morning, I realized that actually one area of the performance for Helsley with this particular pitch has been gradually declining. For example, in 2022, Ryan Helsley got a 28.6% swing and miss rate on the four-seamer. That's been going down each year and going down to the point where this year the four-seam fastball is getting a career worst 16.2% whiff swing rate. That is a huge drop. It didn't happen all at once. It kind of just went down, then down a little more, and now boom, this year. So he ain't missing bats. His strikeout rate on the four-seam fastball is okay. Hasn't been it's not as lethal as it's been in the past. So he's not missing bats. Now, I'm no expert on pitching mechanics, obviously, but the StatCast data shows us a couple of things. Helsley's arm angle on the four-seam fastball is higher this season, and that has altered his release point, and not in a good way. The result, a lot more four-seam fastballs that sort of enter the center of the strike zone. Not a good place, and they're more hittable that way. The change in arm angle is also a factor in a couple of other things that I believe are working against Helsley. The four-seam fastball this year does not have as much vertical drop or horizontal break as it did even as recently as last season. So it's a 99 mile per hour fastball, but it just sort of comes in flat. I mean, there's no movement. It doesn't drop. It doesn't go side to side. It doesn't have that kind of late break. And he leaves way too many of them over the middle of the plate because of the combination of the arm angle and the release point. And all of this makes Helsley's four-seam fastball even more hittable. Like last season, opponents had a 50% hard hit rate when he connected with Helsley's fastball, except they connected with it more often, or they didn't connect with it as often, I should say. And this year, that hard hit rate against that pitch is up by nearly 10%. Compared to 2024, Helsley isn't getting as many swings and misses on his fastball, which means the hitters are connecting more often. And when they make contact, which they do more often, they're hitting it harder than they ever have hit that pitch off of him in the past. The other factor in play here, and I have talked about this one because I think it's a major component, Helsley's tendency to fall behind in the counts way too often. And when it's bad enough to fall behind in counts, but he makes it worse because when he's behind in the count, he becomes really, really predictable because he loves to throw the four-seam fastball in those situations. He chooses to save his excellent slider when he is in control of the count and when the hitters are behind in the count. But when the hitters are ahead in the count, Helsley uses his four-seam fastball a lot, and they have hit it for a .588 batting average, and they have a swing and miss rate of only 7%. That's the four-seam fastball. When he throws it to hitters who have the advantage, they are ahead in the count. Helsley has a great slider. Nothing has changed about that. It's an outstanding pitch, but he doesn't use it. Not enough when he's behind in the count. He throws it about 19, 20% of the time. So that does a big service, or it's a big favor to the hitters. The slider is the pitch that just makes them weak, right? But if their data department, and most Major League Baseball teams have like really smart analytics. I think the Cardinals will have them in the future under Chaim Bloom. But anyway, I mean, if you're a hitter and somebody gives you a printout or they send you an email or something, and they say, look, if Helsley gets behind you on the count, you're going to get the fastball 80% of the time because he throws the slider about 19% of the time in those situations. So, I mean, if you were a hitter and you saw an obvious tendency, so predictable, what to expect from Ryan Helsley when he's behind in the count, you're going to go up there hunting a fastball, right? Because the odds that you are going to get one are overwhelmingly in your favor. So why are the hitters hunting for it? I just explained it, because when he doesn't have the edge, I'll just reiterate it. When he doesn't have the edge in the count, he hurls that four-seamer about 79% of the time. So when hitters pretty much know what a guy's going to come with in specific situations, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be salivating in anticipation of seeing that four-seam fastball from Helsley coming at him, not only coming at him, but coming right down the middle and not moving at all or very little, right? Helsley also goes heavily with the four-seam fastballs in even counts, like 1-1, 2-2, whatever. And hitters also know to look for it in those situations. So when he throws the four-seamer in even counts, their batting average against it is 556. For the life of me, now here comes the exasperated Bernie. For the life of me, I cannot understand why Helsley, who does have some say in the matter, right? A lot of say. I can't understand why Helsley and the Cardinals, including their catchers, certainly the manager, the pitching coach, I can't understand why they failed to recognize this and change it. First, the four-seam fastball simply is not an effective pitch for Helsley. When they're hitting 440 against it and slugging 600, it is the opposite of an effective pitch for Helsley. Secondly, when he's behind in the count and he comes with that weak, ineffective pitch, the hitters are waiting on it. That's exactly what they want. And he just heaves it and they pounce on it. He's doing them a huge favor. So why? I don't understand Helsley. I don't understand the instructions from the dugout. I don't understand the catchers and the pitch selection, and why they will not change as a group or individually, will not speak up and say, look, we're really predictable with this four-seam fastball. And that's one of the reasons why it's not effective. Because if you give any major league hitter a really good idea of what's coming, he's going to do something with it. So if a sports media guy like me, and you can even say, I won't take offense, you can say, yeah, well, you mean a sports media idiot like you, Bernie. Fine. If a sports media guy or, quote, idiot like me can easily spot and identify the problem, why do Helsley and the Cardinals continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again? That's another mystery here. One more thing on the pitching part as far as the fastball decline before I move on, because I'm going to introduce another pitch here. So here's one more thing in terms of like pitch selection, okay? From the start of 2021 until now, so that's almost 4.5 seasons. When Helsley throws the curveball, the hitters are batting .089 and they have a 49% strikeout rate. You see, because they're not expecting the curveball. You know why they don't expect the curveball? Because he's only used it 8% of his pitches over the last almost 4.5 years. It's a really good pitch. Once again, I do not understand why they have abandoned this pitch. Wouldn't the curveball, given the problems with the fastball, and you got to find a way to get the hitters off that fastball because they punish it, and they punish it a lot, right? Wouldn't the curveball, which statistically, historically has been effective, and I'm not saying you use it all the time, but you pick your spots. Wouldn't the curve be a good sleight of hand move to keep the hitters off your fastball? Here's a stat to go with that stat. When Helsley has gotten behind in the count over the last 4+ seasons, he has never thrown a curveball, not one. He has never thrown a curveball in those situations, even though the curveball has been really effective when he does throw it. So why don't you mix that in there? I mean, if you threw them over and over again, hitters would adjust. But they're expecting 80% of the time to get the four-seam fastball when they're ahead in the count, and they'll get some sliders mixed in. Well, why don't you introduce that devilish little curveball in there? They'd be going like, what? Where's the fastball? I don't know. And again, I am an idiot relative to what major league people are in terms of their baseball knowledge on things of this intricate nature. I am absolutely an idiot, yet I can figure these things out. Does any of this make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. So to this point, I've covered the mysteries over Helsley's ineffective fastball and the mystery over the ridiculously predictable pitching pattern that gives opposing hitters a big advantage. That is a mystery. It's also really stupid. In my second segment, I'm going to get to the other big mystery here. Given Helsley's obvious drop-off in performance quality with his fastball, what does this do to his trade value? But first, I got my daily message for you about our friends at DraftKings and their Pick 6 game, their daily Pick 6 games. Look, DraftKings covers a wide variety of sports, but if you think you know your Major League Baseball, then it's time to put your knowledge to use and win big cashes through the daily Pick 6 contest. And what you do in the daily, the DraftKings Pick 6 fantasy contest, you just focus on the player stats or pitcher stats, and you select anywhere from 2 to 6 players or pitchers or both, and you choose whether the individual will go higher or lower on a specific stat set for his next game by DraftKings. I'm going to give you an example, but I'm going to stay in the moment, and I'm going to switch to the NBA for my example. Oklahoma City's got a chance to clinch the NBA Finals tonight with a win at Indianapolis in Game 6. A great player for the Thunder in this series, he has been huge in this series, is Jalen Williams. He has scored at least 26 points in the last 3 games of this series. He had 40 points in Game 5. But as of Thursday morning, DraftKings set a line of 19.5 points for Williams in tonight's game. Now, that may change as the day moves on, but at the time I record this, it's 19.5 points. So if you think, based on that premise, if it still applies later on in the day, if you think Williams will score at least 20 points, then you go with the over. If you think the Pacers and their excellent coach and friend of Tony La Russa, Rick Carlisle, will adjust and say, we're not going to let Williams beat us, we got to slow him down, then you might say, well, I'm going to go with the under. So yeah, it is that simple. And I wanted to give you a great example that's non-baseball related. So Pick 6 is that simple. And it's a lot of fun. And DraftKings even gives you, like you click on the player's profile on the app, and it actually gives you his recent performances in terms of the particular stat line you're looking at. So DraftKings is actually trying to help you win. It isn't for me to say whether they should be doing that or not. I'm just kidding. It's a whole lot of fun, and here's an invitation to get in the game and take your best shot at winning money. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. You'll enjoy tracking your players while the games are in progress, the ones you chose. But, of course, the most fun comes with winning at DraftKings. It's easy to get started on that excellent app. You just download that DraftKings app, available in the App Store. You open an account, you set it up, easy peasy. Choose a sport, pick your players, and go for it. New players at DraftKings get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly with just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, let's get back to the Bernie Show here. My second and final segment of the mysteries of Ryan Helsley and his performance this season. I'm still reading a lot of writers, and I'm talking about national writers, making reference to Helsley as an obvious trade piece for the Cardinals for the July 31st trade deadline. He is often presented as the best closer available on the market, and there are several teams, contenders, that need closers. Okay. I'll be honest, and I'm not going to go on a rant here. I don't really pay attention to much of the local coverage on Helsley because the extent, the severity of his downturn has been pretty much ignored here. And I don't understand it. A player that important to the Cardinals' fortunes. Wouldn't you want to find out all you can about why a big pitch of his has just imploded this year? Anyway, that's enough. That's the end of the mini rant. I assume that smart Major League Baseball operations staffs, however, will do a little more research on this rather than sort of, call Fred Bird up and ask him what he thinks. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. As we know, there's a lot to see here. Helsley's strikeout rate is down for the third year in a row. His swing and miss rate is down for the third consecutive year. And this year, it's way down. The batting average and slugging percentage against Helsley, they are up. That's the wrong way. They have gone up for the third consecutive season. His walk rate for 2025 is nearly 11%. That's not good. The hard hit rate against Ryan Helsley has increased for the third straight season. The home run rate against him has increased for the third straight season. Like never before, as I just explained, Helsley's four-seam fastball is really easy to hit. Helsley had a 2.04 ERA last season, and that has ballooned to 3.96 ERA today as of going into action on June the 19th. The other thing I think other teams will look at is trying to figure out why are the Cardinals handling Helsley with such extra care. Some more crass front office people looking at Helsley might phrase it a different way rather than saying, well, why are they so careful with it? I'd say, why are they babying Helsley? He doesn't pitch that much. And I think Andy Van Slyke told that to Frank Cusimano recently on one of the local shows, I think KTRS. Helsley does not pitch that often. Marmol and pitching coach Dusty Blake have firm rules for when they'll use Helsley. Let's call them, remember the Jordan rules? We'll call these the Ryan rules. 1 inning only. Got to be a save situation. Okay, maybe every now and then we'll put him in extra innings, but only 1 inning. That's it. They basically keep him in bubble wrap for very specific situations because they're trying to protect him and risk against, in terms of the injury risk. They're trying to protect him. It's not easy being a closer reliever, and you kind of got to work. You got to pitch maybe more than you would prefer. I guess another team's front office would look at this and say, well, at least Helsley's healthy and fresh. I mean, the Cardinals are babying him and they got him all covered in bubble wrap, and they probably have security guards out there to make sure in the bullpen that he can't walk in before the 9th inning in a closed situation. I think they do. I think they have armed guards out there. Just kidding, of course. But I guess another team's front office would look at that and say, okay, as I mentioned, they'll say, well, at least he's fresh. At least he's healthy. All right. I would agree with that. Sorry, I got lost there in my own thoughts. What else is new? But the Ryan rules haven't made him a better pitcher. He may be healthy. He may be fresh. But is he a better pitcher because of it? The answer is emphatically no. And I just explained why. All right, through the team's first 73 games, the Cardinals have played 73 games this year. Through the team's first 73 games last season, he appeared in 32 games, pitched 32 innings. He had a 2.5 ERA, and he had saved, what was it? He had saved like 24 games already through the first 73 last year. 24 saves and 25 opportunities. That's a save success rate of 96%. And compared to that, the save opportunities, the innings, everything, he really is in bubble wrap this year. Through the first 73 games for the 2025 Cardinals, he's worked 25 games, 25 innings, but his ERA is 3.96, and he has 13 saves and 18 attempts. That's a 72% success rate. For the first 73 games this season, the team's 73 games of the season to date, Helsley has already blown more saves than he did for the entire season last year. Through the first 73 games last season, Helsley allowed a 214 batting average and a 274 slugging percentage. That's really good. At this point last season, 73 games in, Helsley had given up an average of 0.6 home runs per 9 innings. That's really good. All right, what about the first 73 games the team's played this year? He's been smacked for a 276 batting average. That's way above 214, right? 429 slugging percentage. That's way above 274 at this point last year. And his home run rate is 1.4 bombs per 9 innings. That's way up. That's more than double what it was at this point last season. And his strikeout walk ratio has also declined this year from where it was through 73 games last year. Now, every meaningful indicator we can look at for Helsley tells us something. It actually hollers and yells and screams at us. I won't scream, but you know what the indicators tell us? He's not the same pitcher. Does he throw hard? Yes. So that's a plus. And here's what I'm thinking. I think a smart team out there, a smart organization out there might say, you know what? We've been looking at this fastball, because they have tape on everybody. Say, we can fix this thing. It's no problem. Once we fix this thing, you watch. He'll get back to a lot closer to where he was. So smart teams are eyeing him because they see, I'm guessing they see an opportunity to actually, it's a pretty quick fix on one pitch and the pitching patterns, right? I mean, this is not the equivalent of open heart surgery here, right? This is like going to the dentist for a cleaning. So maybe a new team would, in fact, have a real smart plan for fixing Helsley's fastball. And if those corrections can be made on the fastball, the mechanics, and the pitch selection patterns, then Helsley could be a hell of a pickup for a contending team. But that team will also have to recognize beforehand that he needs work. This isn't an easy plug-in where it's like, oh, we got him. Hey, you're pitching tonight. Go. Ryan Helsley needs some refurbishing that he hasn't gotten here. So what does this all mean for Helsley and the Cardinals at the trade deadline? Listen, I'm going to do the thing I do that I think people don't like. I'm going to say I don't know because I don't know. So why would I fake and pretend otherwise? I think there'll be some interest in him, especially if a team believes it can fix his problems, like a quick turnaround. In any event, I doubt that the Cardinals, at least right now, I doubt they would get a lot in return unless they're dealing with an impulsive organization that really hasn't done much homework. Well, last year the guy saved 49. That sounds great to me. One of those people, not looking at the past to make their judgment rather than the now and how his performance has declined. As many of us said at the time, I did. I know many, many, many of you did. Some people disagreed. That's fine because it was a good issue and there were two sides to it. But I thought the time to trade Helsley, if you were going to do it, was last offseason when he was at his career peak or real close to it. His value is certainly a lot higher. It was a lot higher then than it is now. Going back to the winter, I advocated Helsley trading him in the offseason for four simple reasons, and I'll go through them real quick. He almost certainly is going to walk after the season and enter free agency. So what's the point of keeping him? And if you don't keep him, you would have a chance to maybe cash in. If you weren't going to keep him, you're going to trade him last winter because his trade value was really high after he'd won the NL's Reliever of the Year award and saved 49 games and 53 chances, and even got, I think, a couple of down ballot MVP votes. Helsley's trade value, this is number 3, his trade value would drop during the 2025 season if he had a significant injury that impacted the way teams look at him before the trade deadline. And lastly, if Helsley's performance eroded from the start of the season to the trade deadline day, July 31st, teams would be wary of him. They say, well, I don't know about him. He's not the same guy. They might take a flyer on him, but they'd be less willing to give the Cardinals an attractive return in a deal. There's also the matter of draft pick compensation. There's a new rule on that put in a couple years ago with the new CBA. A team that acquires Helsley would not receive any compensation if he leaves as a free agent. They're not going to get the draft picks. That rule applies to players that change during the season. No draft pick compensation if they're going to become a free agent and leave. We also have to think about what the Cardinals may be thinking, and that's kind of the scary part. If we get near the deadline and John Mozeliak, because he wants to go out on top, so to speak, if he talks himself into thinking that this is a legitimate postseason contender, even if the odds are stacked against them, well, I would expect him in that scenario to hold on to Helsley. And if they do that and fail to make the postseason, the Cardinals would have wasted a chance to at least get something for him. Maybe a prospect that Chaim Bloom has identified, Rob Cerfolio has identified. So, this guy's only their number 18 prospect, but we've got some our own metrics on him that we think he can be really good. So, yeah, get that guy. See, that's what Bloom and Cerfolio will bring to the dance that the Cardinals haven't had for a long time. By holding on to Helsley and not making the playoffs, the Cardinals would also have squandered an opportunity to get a jump start on auditioning potential closers from within their organization. Maybe it would be taking a look at Tekoa Roby. Maybe it would be taking a look at Andre Granillo. I always say his name wrong. I apologize. Maybe there's some other guys out there too. I mean, I don't want to go through a list of names, but they could sort of take a look at a few guys, see if they'll be candidates for 2026. If they stay within, but I would think they'd go outside the organization to get a new closer, but you never know. I also think Mozeliak would be inclined. I didn't say he would. I would think he'd be inclined to offer Helsley a new contract that covers more than one season. I say that because reasons you probably know already, right? He's got a glaring history. It's actually a disturbing history of overrating veteran Cardinals and handing out contracts like they're fast food coupons. I don't trust him in a situation, although I got to say, I think Mozeliak will be true to his word. He's not going to make any moves that carry over into next season because he wants Chaim Bloom to make those decisions about 2026. Still, always have a little pause when I assume anything about Mo. And I could be wrong about this too, but I don't think Chaim Bloom would think about a contract extension for Helsley unless his analytics people, which I guarantee you will be very intelligent, they'll identify, it's a quick fix, boss. Maybe he'll sign for a year. Maybe we'll get a great year out of him, and then he can, enter free agency after 26. See, this is what smart organizations do. This is what smart analytics do to help your team and the decisions you make. What will they do? What will John Mozeliak do? I don't know. It's just another element to the Helsley mystery. That's it for today. I hope you learned a couple things because I wanted to give you the numbers to back up an opinion. Any clown can get on here and rant for 25 minutes or whatever without backing it up. I always try to back it up. Thanks for watching The Bernie Show. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave your comments. And you don't have to like me, but hit the like button and leave those comments. And thank you, as always, to DraftKings for presenting The Bernie Show. The crown is yours. Thank you.